Ma'am, we can start now. So, good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for joining us and supporting us in this initiative with the launch of our second edition. Sujata ma'am, can you please turn off your mic? It's echoing. Yeah, thank you. With the launch of our second edition with an open discussion on youth and disability. So, the reason we chose this topic of discussion and the same theme for our newsletter was, as some of us may know, today is the International Youth Day. On this occasion, we wanted to contribute our part through this creative piece of work. So, according to National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled People, there are between 180 to 220 million youth with disabilities worldwide, and nearly 80% of them live in developing countries. Conservative estimates from the World Bank report suggest that 70 to 100 million people with disability lives in India. So, with these figures, we need to dwell a little more and understand the problems which a youngster with disability must be going through. So, to reflect more upon various issues related to them, we have started to discuss this. We will be starting this discussion today. And we are very much lucky that an esteemed panel of guest speakers are with us for today's session. So, who have observed and experienced our society in a very close manner. So to start with, I would like to start with Dr. Shashi Motilal ma'am. So to introduce her, Dr. Shashi Motilal ma'am has played several key roles in the different institutions and has a long list of achievements which cannot be presented in a short introduction. But her role as a teacher has not only guided many students like us, but to see this world with different lenses, but has also inspired us to work together towards our aspiration of platform Voices of Unheard, in space where we can together work for creating a platform for them. Currently, she is a professor in Department of Philosophy at the University of Delhi and a visiting faculty in various foreign universities. Her area of interest and specializations are in ethics, metaphysics, philosophy of human rights, applied ethics, including environmental ethics, and many more. She has a long list under her name when we talk about awards, distinctions, authored books, reputed journals, and recently her article came up with an ethical perspective to look on COVID-19, titled COVID-19: What Will Be a Fair Policy to Distribute Vaccine, got published in one of the renowned online magazine, Down to Earth. So, ma'am, I request you to share your views on this particular occasion and topic.
Thank you. Thank you, Samvalita team, and thank you, Sagari, for inviting me to share some of my experiences. I think you're doing so well initiating this series of webinars with important topics. And today's topic is really very, not only is it important, it is also very interesting because, as you have put it, understanding disability through the lenses of the youngsters. Before I really go on, I would like to just know whether it would be better for me to switch off my camera and then just, have my mic on. Is that better? Okay, so I'll do that if that will help people to, get a better hearing of my talk. So let me just switch off my camera.
Yeah.
Okay. So as I was saying, that this is a very interesting and a very important topic, which is some thoughts on understanding disability through the lenses of the youngsters. Because this topic could be understood in two senses. One is understanding disability from the eyes of the more able youngsters, and the second from the eyes of the less fortunate, our young, specially abled folks. And I wish to approach the topic from the second perspective, and hence, for me, the term lenses here would refer to how youngsters with special abilities think of themselves and how their perception helps us understand them better. And in this context, I wish to share my experiences as a parent. My son Arnav has Down syndrome, and the experience I wish to share goes back several years when he was 18 years of age. My husband and I were on a professional assignment at the University of Akron in the US, where I was to teach a summer course to the undergraduate class. It was my first class, and I was waiting in the classroom for my husband to come and take Arnav with him and keep him company while I took my class. The students were settling down, and my husband came just as I was about to begin the class. I asked Arnav to go with his father, but he refused to go. He wanted to be in my class, just like the other young boys and girls. As I did not wish to create a scene then, I allowed him to stay, thinking that this was a one-day thing only. But Arnav was very serious about attending the class. He insisted on attending each of my classes, no matter what, come rain or shine. One day, when it was raining, I told him that he could stay at home, but quick came his reply, I will take the umbrella, and he was ready to go with me. The Arnav would sit patiently through the class, taking down everything that I wrote on board, and demanded all notes, handouts that I distributed, although he was not understanding a single word of what was going on in class because he could not understand English. I could not resist telling my other students who he was and why he was in this class, and that because of his condition, he was not understanding anything. They were dumbfounded when they noticed how diligently he was attending the class, though he did not follow any content of the class. Gradually, I realized that he wished to be in the class because he wished to be treated like the rest of the class. For him, he was like them. That was his sense of self esteem, and he would not give that up for anything. He even took the MCQ, the multiple choice question exam that I gave to the class. And just to tease him, I gave him a 99 on 100, and he promptly demanded why he lost that one mark. This was just like what the other students would have done in that situation. Arnav attended my entire course and proudly showed off the folder containing the notes, the text, exam answer sheet, etc., that he had used to his teacher and classmates at school in Delhi. This experience made me realize many things, one of which is how important self esteem is to a young adult who is specially abled. I realized that though he was not understanding anything in class, he did not think of himself as such. Very often, when we realize that we are not successful in any attempt we are making to complete a task, the tendency is to give up. But Arnav did not give up because he never thought he was not successful. His sense of self esteem and self confidence stood him in good stead. As an academic, there were many occasions when I was forced to take him to conferences because he could not be by himself at home and there was no suitable place to leave him. On one such occasion at a conference in JNU, he sat through the sessions, mingled with the attendees during coffee break, conversing with them in his monosyllables. He never felt or showed that he was in any way different from the others who were attending the session. To my dismay, in the Q&A, he was very self-confidently, he raised his hand after seeing others do the same to ask a question. I had to intervene and explain to everyone what was the matter, and I can tell you everybody enjoyed that moment and they actually sort of clapped for him. The air of self-confidence was unmistakably visible. Our specially abled young men and women are very self-confident of their abilities. We only need to give them the opportunities and encouragement, something that we all look for. As a parent, over the years, Arnav is now going to be 30 next month, I have gradually realized the need for independence, the need for personal space and time that people with disabilities, especially young people with disabilities or special abilities require. And as a parent, of course, it is natural to be protective of them. But I have learned that we must try to see and understand them from their perspective like we do others. We must take this cue from our young adults with special abilities and interact with them in that spirit. That, to my mind, is the best way to understand what we label as disability. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really good. Like, all your emotions, all your experiences came out. Thank you so much for sharing your own personal experience with every one of us and telling us how it was. Yes, Sujata, ma'am.
I agree with Shashi ma'am. I am disabled myself and I have been in a normal school. I went to college. I ran special education. I've taught in many schools and many children have passed my hands. Many of them are young adults now. What I realized with myself was when they wanted something to do, they wanted to be equal.
Silly.
Not sort of, ये नहीं कर सकते. Whether he can do or not is a material. So I agree with what you are saying. That self-image,
Right.
not self-image, esteem, but self-image of yourself. You are having a mirror image. You are seeing everyone else, you are thinking you are same. Why should you be different? And when I did a study for CFAR, and there was a boy who told me, I want to become Shah Rukh Khan. And he was really, um, quite confident of being a Shah Rukh Khan.
Yes, I agree completely. Yeah, my son himself, he wants to be like Shah Rukh Khan, but he changes his priority. Sometimes the Shah. So, he knows who is on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, for your comments. So now we'll proceed to Dr. Ramesh Kumar Sareen. He's a retired Delhi University professor and an active member of various organizations. So Dr. R.K. Sareen is a living example of portraying that biological limitations are just a part of life and not the end of human aspiration and potential. With his 41 years of experience of holding various posts in various voluntary organizations, Dr. Serene has reached a level of achievement which are admirable for many. Apart from his long list of achievements in the academic field, he has some very special achievements under his name, which are a world record in braille reading for 135 words per minute in 1965, the world record in braille typing for 158.30 hours recorded in Limca Book of Records, and a leading march on foot for literacy for the blind persons for 244 days, covering 12 Indian states, covering around 7,344 kilometers. A personality like him can be a source of inspiration for our youth to make us believe that irrespective of biological limitation, there is no limit of human potential. So, Dr. Sareen, uh, can we have some views from you?
In fact, your topic is very wide. I don't know how far one can cover within a short
You
span
can
of
share
time.
whatever comes in your mind, sir. Nothing.
No, that's true. But let us touch upon something rather than going into more detail. See,
Yes.
for me, the concept like spatially abled making me something very special, which I'm not. So I, for the one, strongly feel that when we are using some terms, we should be very particular. Are we really wish to make a disabled a special one? Or can we really achieve something by making him a special one when we develop variety of things without caring that special person? So to me, it is better to call disabled rather than the specially challenged or specially able, because I strongly feel when you lose something, loss is always a
Ramani has
loss.
left the meeting.
It is entirely different how you can compensate it with various adaptations. But otherwise, your disability is disability in reality. Suppose a blind moving from X place to Y place, if he gets hit somewhere, it is not because of his particular atmosphere, but because of the fact that he cannot see that. So hitting cannot make him a spatially challenged. So my strong feeling is when a youth thinks about disabled, he should first of all realize his disability, then see the possibility that within those realizations, how can you make best use of one's potentiality? Because I am strongly against certain extreme terms. Concept like Modi gave Divyang, I strongly feel that it is over glorification making somebody godlike. I strongly feel that youth should understand that disabled person is also a human being with emotions, with sensibilities, with weaknesses, or maybe certain vices. See, a typical notion about the disabled that he is a saint. It is not. He is a human being with his imperfections, with his limitations, with his achievements and whatnot. So to me, if youngsters wish to do something in the field of disability, first
Angela
of
Chandler
all,
has left the meeting.
they should study what actually disabled is
Shubham Javan has left the
or
meeting.
what is their history. And I'll just touch upon a couple of things while talking about history. See, if we go by post-independence period, people who took birth during 50s, when they become young enough in 70s, 72,
Eamon Shah has left the
73,
meeting.
they started raising demands about their jobs, about their future prospects of life. At that time, many people think why they are shouting. And that was quite understandable because for them, disabled is only a person upon whom you can show your mercy. So that was first step when disabled, particularly blind, came out on the road, demanded for their secured life, demanded for sharing and shaping their future with the support not only of the government but even of the society. Many people commented upon why disabled need to go in the
Eamon Shah has
street.
left the meeting.
But I strongly feel without going into the streets or without going into the field, you cannot
Prem
change
Marty
the
has left the
world.
meeting.
World can only be changed if you really show your potence, you really demand that your potence should be used. So my first and foremost message for the youth is first try to understand disability. Not as an antagonistic thing, but as a part and parcel of the human being. How can one accommodate each other? I will not say,
Arvinder Singh has
like
left the meeting.
many others, that somewhere down the line, everybody has some weakness. That may be. But weakness and disability are two entirely different things. At least a disabled person should know that there is no scope in any world which can plan each and in mind. Even despite the fact that during 1991, there was a law for the building construction, how to take into account these issues of disabilities. But do you really find anybody taking account all these things? It is also because of the fact that if we see the disability, it is a kind of concept which one has to bear
Brittany has left the meeting.
at any part of lifetime. That is why we call people as a temporarily able-bodied. At the age of 55, 60, 70, can anybody tell that there is anyone who has got no weakness, no disability, no complications, whatever? Maybe in terms of seeing, maybe in terms of hearing, maybe in terms of walking, and so on and so forth. When we demand for lift, are we demanding only for the orthopedically handicapped? Or we are demanding for those who at the age of 60 or 55 cannot go upstairs for 4th to 5th floors. So until and unless we develop an approach in which we can accommodate variety of people, only then perhaps we can think in terms of a world which is really inclusive. I'm not saying that kind of inclusion which generally people do in the schools or colleges, because I strongly feel that in the name of inclusion, they generally exclude. I can give you an example. Say if you take the case of any public school, they used to give admission to the blind person. At the same time, they appoint 2 students to carry him, one from the right, one from the left, as if he is a material to be brought to some certain place, rather than making him aware of the overall school. And blind in a given space can work like a sighted. So my request is, if really youth wishes to do something, that there is a big scope, but scope is only possible if you do not look at them as a mercy. I will also wish to share that blind or disabled is not at all a punishment. Generally, people who believe in karma theory, they talk in terms of disability as punishment. And then at the same time, they say if God takes one sense, he gives another sense. I don't know what kind of punishment then it is. So this kind of notions are supposed to be removed. Some people say blind are over intelligent. Some people say blind has got better sense of smelling, and so on. I can share with you why I'm talking only about blindness, because that's a part of my experience. And I really worked in this field for almost 40 odd years. We have to adapt. And when you have to adapt, you have to develop your senses. I also do not say that everything is said and done for the disabled. Fortunately
Session empty. Guest cancelled.
or
Left the meeting.
unfortunately, we are dwelling in big cities. And sometimes we treat as if Delhi, Calcutta, Bombay, Madras, or so on, they are India. They are not. You really travel through Delhi down to Calcutta, you will find many, many villages where disabled are somehow passing their life as if they are part of some animals. They totally depend upon society. I was just reading a book wherein it was said that India is lucky where disabled are not being killed. Because if you read Plato's Republic, it says that disabled should be killed. But when we are lucky in that sense, we are not being killed. But are we not thinking those terms where Dhritarashtra keeps on seeing variety of things, but ultimately was unable to do anything? And consequently, there was Mahabharata. I'm not going into detail of Mahabharata because I have got entirely different outlook. I treat it as an issue of property to the disabled. Generally, people don't look at this. For them, Krishna is important. For them, Pandavas are important. For me, it is not. It is entirely a different issue. So, I strongly feel that if really youth wishes to do something, they should not do anything out of
Rajendra Singh has left the meeting.
mere mercy. They should do something treating them as their companion, so that something you can take from them and something you can even give them. It is a give and take, or rather sharing attitude. Only then perhaps some kind of inclusion is possible. If you treat them that only you're playing some role for them, then perhaps you're entering into another world that is the world of disability. I strongly feel there are not two worlds. There is only one world of human beings. Some people have got shortcomings, some have got no shortcoming, some have got certain limitations, some are limitless. And if really we want to develop a human society, we have to remove those preconceived notions through which we treat disabled as a special. He is not special. He is a common human being. I know when I was running Progressive Society for the Sightless Persons, we used to bring out every now and then certain souvenirs. And in the editorial, we used to write that treat blind as a human being with virtues and vices. And if you fail to do that, then really you are, whatever you are doing, perhaps with a view that in another life you may get its reward. I unfortunately or fortunately, I do not believe in other life. So my strong feeling is even youth should learn whatever is given to the present life, how to make best use of
Whitney
it,
has left the meeting.
and also make disabled as a useful segment, because they are also a power to share in building the society. They are also human resource. Generally we deny, see, concept of typical able-bodied and disabled. It makes somebody over intelligent and other useless. And I strongly feel if proper alternatives are provided, no disabled can be docile. You can make their use. And perhaps with this, I'm not saying positive thinking, because I strongly am against so-called positive thinking. If you are burning and you keep on thinking positively, and one fine day you are vanished, I don't know what positive thinking will do. But I strongly believe in real thinking. There is a difference between the both. So let us have real thinking about the disabled. Let us think that how the best use of them can be made and how some better society can be developed wherein everybody can contribute in the society by walking shoulder to shoulder. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir. Each word of yours means a lot, and I think we would love to take all your sports and all your experiences in our next newsletter as a write-up for us, because that would be a great opportunity for others too to read and just experience what you have felt till now. Thank you so much for giving your time. So after listening to two very experienced persons with us, we have two youngsters with us too, who gonna tell their experience and their potential, what they think about as a youth and as a youngster about the disability. So first of all, I want to call upon Swagat. So Swagat is a young, enthusiastic youngster who's working as a field coordinator at CFAR. So CFAR is a Center for Advocacy and Research, another organization who also works for NGO, who also works in various issues. So who himself is an example of a youngster with disability, but that never hampered his aspirations. So Swagat, can you please share your experience as a youth? आप हिंदी में बोल सकते हो.
Yes,
हिंदी में ही
definitely.
बोलना पड़ता.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm Swagat from Bhubaneswar. I'm a orthopedically handicapped since my birth. I have been working for rights of person with disability last 5 years, including my. I'm working with CFAR from disability, water and sanitation रिलेटेड कि कैसा होना चाहिए कि एक पर्सन विद डिसेबल के लिए कैसा एक मतलब अगर टॉयलेट हो रहा है तो वो कैसा होना चाहिए, वो एक्सेसिबल है या नहीं है। तो इसके ऊपर अभी मैं काम कर रहा हूँ। लेकिन जहां तक एक्सपीरियंस के बात है कि मतलब पर्सन विद डिसेबल का जो इस जनरेशन में क्या जगह है और किस तरह उनके साथ बिहेव करते हैं, तो ये तो सालों से चलता आ रहा है कि मतलब पर्सन विद डिसेबल कुछ कर नहीं पाते हैं, वो लोग पूरा डिपेंडेबल है दूसरों के ऊपर, वो लोग कुछ काम नहीं कर सकते। लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है, ये पूरा का पूरा रॉन्ग है, क्योंकि पर्सन विद डिसेबल एक ऐसे मतलब एबल पर्सन्स हैं कि वो सब कुछ कर सकते हैं। एक नॉर्मल पर्सन जो नहीं कर सकता है वो एक पर्सन विद डिसेबल भी कर सकता है। मैं खुद अपना एग्जांपल हूँ कि मैं सब कुछ कर सकता हूँ। मेरा पैर में प्रॉब्लम है, लेकिन मैं गाड़ी भी चलाता हूँ, दूसरों का मदद भी करता हूँ। अभी तो जो मतलब मैं कुछ प्रेजेंट कर रहा हूँ कि कुछ की कंसर्न है जो लगता है कि इस टाइम जो कोविड-19 का सिचुएशन है, इस टाइम क्या होना चाहिए। अभी हाल ही में मैं एक पर्सन के साथ बात कर रहा था जो ब्लाइंड है, तो उनके साथ बात किया तो जब मुझे लगा कि कैसे आप मतलब इस समय क्या कर रहे हैं, कैसे चल रहा है आपका, तो उन्होंने बोले कि हम तो ब्लाइंड है तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं, किसी के सहारे हम लोग जीते हैं। तो अभी गवर्नमेंट का कुछ रूल्स आ गया कि सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग रखो और भीड़ में मत जाओ, लेकिन हम ब्लाइंड लोग कैसे जाएं, कैसे जानेंगे ये कहाँ पर भीड़ है, कहाँ पर सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग हमें रखना चाहिए। हम लोग जब सामान लाने के लिए बाहर जाते हैं तो उस समय नॉर्मल लोग भूल जाते हैं सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग, तो वहां पर हम कैसे डिस्टेंसिंग रखेंगे, कैसे सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग हम मेंटेन करेंगे। तो ये सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत है कि नॉर्मल लोग इसे जानना चाहिए कि वो एक ब्लाइंड है, तो उन्हें हम मदद करेंगे ना, तो उन्हें तकलीफ में हम डालेंगे, फिर उन्हें धक्का मारकर आगे चले जाते हैं। तो इस तरह होने पर क्या होता है ना, एक डिस्क्रिमिनेशन आ जाता है। तो ये जानना पड़ेगा कि कहाँ कहाँ पर गैप है और ये कैसे कंप्लीट करेंगे हम। तो क्योंकि ये जो समय है अभी कोविड-19 का सिचुएशन है, ये बहुत ही बड़ा सिचुएशन है, ये एक बहुत ही बड़ा डिजास्टर है पूरे विश्व में। तो यहाँ पर एक पर्सन विद डिसेबल को किस तरह हम बिहेव करेंगे, कैसे उनका हेल्थ जो उनका प्रॉब्लम है, हेल्थ हो या फिर एजुकेशन हो या फिर वाटर और सैनिटेशन भी हो, तो ये सब हम कैसे। तो यहाँ पर नो प्रॉपर इरिगेशन विथ mainstream institutional including education, healthcare, water and sanitation and no opportunity for skilling and livelihood। तो ये सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत की बात है। तो जहां तक नॉर्मल लोगों को ये समझना पड़ेगा कि पर्सन विद डिसेबल को हम लोग किस तरह बिहेव करें और क्या करें। तो ये सबसे मतलब मैं जब मेरे एक्सपीरियंस से मैं बोल रहा हूँ, अभी भी हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं, अवेयरनेस कर रहे हैं, लेकिन नॉर्मल लोग भूल जाते हैं कि किस तरह हम लोग इस टाइम मतलब पर्सन विद डिसेबल को सपोर्ट करेंगे, कैसे उनको बिहेव करेंगे। तो ये सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत है। और जहां तक हेल्थ की बात अगर करेंगे कि तो हेल्थ का भी प्रॉब्लम बहुत ही है, क्योंकि जो मेंटली डिसऑर्डर है तो उनको अभी हेल्थ का मतलब ट्रीटमेंट नहीं मिल रहा है, क्योंकि कोई भी हॉस्पिटल अगर वो जा रहे हैं तो उन्हें प्रॉपरली नहीं देखते हैं, नहीं चेकअप कर रहे हैं, तो वो लोग कैसे मतलब कैसे रहेंगे। उनके पेरेंट्स, हाँ जिसके पास स्मार्टफोन है वो लोग ऑनलाइन डॉक्टर का कंसल्ट लेकर उसके बच्चों को फिजियोथेरेपी देते हैं या फिर कुछ भी टिप्स ले जाते हैं। लेकिन एक गरीब घर में अगर एक पर्सन हुई डिसेबल है तो वो क्या करेगा? अगर उसका तबीयत खराब होता है तो वो कहाँ पर लेकर जाएगा? या फिर उसका अगर फिजियोथेरेपी कंटिन्यू था तो उसका बच्चा ठीक था, लेकिन अभी वो बंद हो गया है, वो सेंटर नहीं लेकर जा पा रहा है, तो इसमें क्या होता है ना, उसका हेल्थ के ऊपर प्रभाव पड़ता है और वो ठीक से प्रॉपर हेल्थ ट्रीटमेंट भी नहीं कर सकता है। तो यही सब दिक्कतें मतलब कंप्लीटली बहुत ही खराब है, जो कि मतलब नहीं होना चाहिए। अगर हम बोल रहे हैं कि हम पर्सन विद डिसेबल को हर तरह के सपोर्ट देंगे, लेकिन ये नहीं होता है। ये कहीं ना कहीं पर गैप होता है, या फिर हम लोगों से गैप हो, या फिर गवर्नमेंट हो, या फिर प्राइवेट हो, जो भी हो, लेकिन गैप है, जिस गैप को हमें कंप्लीट करना है और पूरी तरह सहयोग और सपोर्ट देना चाहिए पर्सन विद डिसेबल को, ताकि वो लोग भी हमारे साथ मतलब ताल मिलाकर आगे चले। क्योंकि आज का जनरेशन जो है वो बहुत ही मतलब आगे बढ़ गया है, तो यहाँ पर ऐसे मतलब किसी को हम पीछे छोड़कर आगे चले जाएंगे तो ये गलत बात है। तो मेरा यही मानना है कि अगर हम लोग कोई भी काम कर रहे हैं तो एक मतलब एक्सेसिबल फ्रेंडली होना चाहिए, जो भी हो। अगर रोड भी बनाते हैं तो भी वो फ्रेंडली होना चाहिए कि एक पर्सन विद डिसेबल भी वो चलकर जा सकता है, एक एल्डरली भी जा सकता है और एक नॉर्मल पर्सन भी जा सकते हैं। या फिर कोई भी मॉल, अगर RPWD एक्ट आप देखेंगे तो उसमें लिखा है कि अगर कोई न्यू कंस्ट्रक्शन हो रहा है तो वो एक्सेसिबल होना चाहिए, लेकिन कहाँ तक हो रहा है ये? तो यही दिक्कतें है कि मतलब ठीक से कोई देखता नहीं है। एक ब्लाइंड जाने के लिए उसको क्या चाहिए? अगर एक टॉयलेट बनाते हैं तो वो टॉयलेट में क्या क्या सुविधा होना चाहिए एक पर्सन विद डिसेबल के लिए? तो अगर जो हो रहा है वो सबको जैसे इजी हो, सब उसे यूज कर सकते हैं, या फिर कोई भी पॉलिसी अगर बन रहा है तो पर्सन विद डिसेबल को फोकस करके बनाए ताकि सब सुविधा पाएंगे, इसके साथ पर्सन विद डिसेबल भी सुविधा पाएंगे। तो यही मेरा था थिंकिंग और आज के मतलब इस वेबिनार में। तो थैंक
यू सो मच अपना टाइम देने के लिए सबसे पहली बार। और जैसे आपने बताया कि हाँ, कोरोना के टाइम पे डिसेबल्स को सबसे लास्ट में माना गया या उनके बारे में सबसे लास्ट में सोचा गया। जैसे कि हमने अभी हमारा जो लास्ट वेबिनार था और जो हमारा लास्ट न्यूज़लेटर था वो पूरा का पूरा सिर्फ डिसेबिलिटी एंड कोरोना पे था। उस टाइम पे भी हमने यही बात करी थी और आज के टाइम पे भी यही बात हो रही है कि अगर कोरोना भी है या कुछ भी है, डिसेबल्स को सबसे लास्ट में क्यों माना जाता है या उनके बारे में सबसे लास्ट में क्यों सोचा जाता है। तो थैंक यू सो मच सागर अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करने के लिए। So
Thank
now
you.
I will call upon one of my best friend, a well-wisher and a supporter since my master's days, and the most selfless person anyone can think of, always ready to help and support whosoever is in need. He's a research scholar and a social worker. He has been into the field since many years with diverse understanding about how our society can be uplifted and making every individual stronger and independent. Now I would like to request Neil to share few of his experiences with us.
Thank you, Sagri, for having me over here. And I feel privileged and excited to share this moment with one of my professors, Shashi ma'am. I am one of her students. She taught me an MA, MPhil, and it's continuing. And other distinguished guests, I really feel blessed. Thank you, Sagri, for giving this opportunity. And as we know, today is the International Youth Day. I wish you, each and every one of you, especially my colleagues, International Youth Day. 2 years back, I had an opportunity to represent India on an international platform to speak for youth. And now moving on to the theme of today's discussion, that is youth and disability. I'd like to bring a few things to your attention. as I'm part of an NGO, SIB Society, and work with the disabled people, especially the youngsters. And I was told to share with you a few of my work experiences. And she sadly told me to speak a few words, so I should obey her. And these are there are mainly three issues and challenges that the disabled youngsters face. And I would like to bring these 3 points before you all. And these are the things that they share with us which I have observed while being with him. The first issue is that getting employed. Like any other youngsters, they too face this challenge, finding a job and getting employed. After having completed their studies, they look for, like any other youngster, they look for a job. Even if they get the job, due to long distance, not a disabled friendly atmosphere, and so on and so forth, they are forced to quit the job. And this is one of the main issue when we speak for youth and when we be with the youth, they share with us finding a job and getting employed. Last newsletter, I wrote an article about a working lady. So when I was taking her interview, she was telling me personally that she's working in a broadcasting unit in the capital city, Delhi itself. She was telling me she never got any promotion in her office. Those who came with her and those who came after her, they all got promotion, but she never got any promotion. Or maybe she was telling that the mentality of the public is that disabled people are weak, defective, or unproductive, and looked upon with suspicion. So maybe these are the things that they're not able to find a job. And the second issue is that a career building. Like any other youngsters, the disabled youngsters also, they have going with their own passion, finding a career and building up that career, going with their passion, like any one of us. In our NGO, we formed a musical band. Those who are interested, those who can sing, those who can play musical instruments, we gathered together all these people and we formed a musical band. And recently, during this lockdown, they came up with a musical album which got attention from every corner of society. So they want to follow their passion, and because of the overprotective protection of their parents, they're not able to carry forward their passions or their hobbies, all those things. So they don't want our pity. They want opportunities. Especially youngsters, they want opportunities, chances, and I don't know how much our society is able to give such opportunities to these such people, such vulnerable people. The third point I want to make is very important. That's the sexual life of these people, especially the youngsters. They too have, like a human being, they too have a feelings for intimacy, feeling for others, a married life, going for a date. But I don't know, deliberately we neglect that part of that aspect of their life. Even they are deprived of sexual education. And due to that, they are misused, they are molested. And I don't know. So this is a very important thing. And last year, BBC brought out a documentary film addressing this issue, the sexual life of this disability, especially the youth. So I'm not going to detail all these things. I just want to bring to your attention, these are the main issues that the disabled youth are facing. And that's all. And thank you once again for giving me this opportunity and share this platform with this distinguished guest. Thank you, Sagri, and the entire team. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lee. And when you were talking about the sexuality, so in this newsletter, you're going to get another article, which is purely based on how a youngster feel about sexuality. And that is written by Ms. Sujata ma'am. So she has written her point of view because she has dealt with this particular issue. She has given many counseling to all the youngsters, how to handle their sexual urges and how to have a normal life. So with that, the only reason now we are a bit diverting. Yes, ma'am.
If anyone wants counseling for sexual intervention, I'm available online or face to face.
We'll set up a sort of a workshop for that. And everybody should know how to deal with that. Yes. So now diverting a bit from our major topic, the only reason which brought all of us together was a craving to bring the voices of vulnerable in the mainstream. So we choose to start with disability, but there are numerous issues which are prevailing in our society. It's not only about human made, but something it's also due to climatic imbalances. So I'm talking about the recent cyclone Amphan, which was a powerful and dreadful tropical cyclone that caused widespread damage in eastern India, especially West Bengal and also Bangladesh in May 2020. So Kathakali Swapna Open Welfare Society is one of the organizations which is working day and night to bring back the lives of thousands who have lost everything they had to survive and to bring that on track to, and we have appreciated their work by incorporating their initiatives in our newsletter. So today we have Satyarupa Majumdar, the chief functionary of Swapna Open Welfare Society. So she is a teacher by profession and has been worked in one of the leading private schools in Calcutta with more than 13 years of experience in formal school teaching. She has wide experience on pedagogy. She has been a member of Progressive Educational Teachers Society under Lautor in Calcutta. She is also the member of Jolly Phoenix, London, and developed integrated English development program of Swapna Open. Currently undergoing educational leadership and management program under ACT, and she got engaged in welfare activities since 2012 with this welfare society. Initially, she was engaged as a guest teacher for the school being run by this organization. Later on, she left her job with the private school and got fully engaged with this organization. Presently, she is the chief functionary of the organization and works closely with the communities in Hingalganj, Sundarbans, under North 24 Pargans district. So today, she will be sharing her experience of how her organization raised those voices which are still being unheard by the government. So, ma'am, can you share your experience?
Yeah. A very good afternoon to all. Thanks to Samvrita for inviting me on this platform, and Shagari, and afternoon to all the dignitaries. So, I just want to rectify the name is Shwapna Puram. So, that means fulfillment of dreams, dreams of the people of Sundarbans. So, as we all know, that Sundarban is the largest delta and the mangrove forest of our country, but the rest of the country, like we don't discuss about Sundarbans, the livelihood and the education of there. While I was just wanted to speak on this topic of disability and youth, we all know that youth is the power and they have an invincible spirit. I must say that the education and education of disabled children and disabled youth in Sundarbans is a far-fetched thought because firstly, if you see that it remains unidentified and unrecognized for many years for a child, and we have seen instances where even probably the child had a very minor issue of hearing impairment, and maybe with a minor surgery it could have been done away with, but because it was unidentified and the parents even doesn't know how to identify whether the child has a hearing impairment or it's a intellectual disability or whatever, I mean, so the child remains untreated, unrecognized, and so that is the kind of situation where they don't understand what is the problem the child is going through. So coming to the point of disability and youth in in this particular region, why I talk for Bengal and for Sundarbans, because we are working extensively in this area. So actually, I founded this organization in 2012 with the purpose of promoting education, quality education to the children of the of rural Bengal, and that is how the journey began. And then slowly, steadily over the years, I realized that Sundarban was really unexplored, and it still remains so much backward in every aspect. So when we talk about youth, the fact remains is that from the childhood, many of their needs needs remains unidentified. So the kind of support they require to grow, or they require to be able to be at par with the children, or to have an education at par, is really very difficult. What I've strongly noticed and felt is that children with disability or youth, they should be given an equal participation in the policy making of the country. So as this young chap Swagat was saying, that they are not treated as the last benches among the school children. We have come across several cases, and every day probably we come across where parents come and say that my child has not been given admission in the school because the school doesn't have any infrastructure to provide to a child. So that is a very major issue where we need to look into that. When the teaching, we undergo teachers training, even if it's a junior teachers training, at least a bridge course is being introduced, so for sign language, to how to deal children with dyslexia, how to deal children with ADHD. Not many of them, but at least 2 3 children in the school, in the class itself, when we talk about inclusive education. And because these children, they remain they are away from the school, they don't get any facility in the school, they don't develop any skill. So when they come to the youth, what is it that is expected from them? They have a very deluded life. They have a life completely with no vision, demotivated, oppressed, marginalized. The parents, they don't know what they want to do with the children. We come across cases, youth 18 years, 19 years old children, where the parents want to give away the child, want to send the child to any home. So this is where we are standing at this point of time, which is a matter of concern, an extreme concern. And so in that speaking from that perspective, what I can say is that uh, thinking about we don't have, the RT says that there has to be some kind of, there is that education is inclusive, yet no, inclusive education is not included in any of the government schools of over here in the rural, as far as Bengal is concerned. As a result, their problems aggravate over the years. So the voice of these youth needs to be heard. The time has come that it's very good that Savalita is doing so much of work on disability, that their voice must be heard, their needs must be addressed to, and there should be some structured framework to see from very childhood how that their growth can be mapped. Whatever the disabilities are varying kinds, barring the intellectual disability, I believe all other disabilities can be addressed too, and in certain cases the issues are very minor, they can be worked out. So until and unless we create a platform where there is a strong movement to make it, bring these children and these youth to the forefront and given an equal status with the other children who are attending school and attending workshops and doing all, even if you see that the kind of workshops which has been going on all these last few months during the pandemic, so how many of it has been in sign language for them to understand? How many of them has been in any other form so that these children can understand? Okay, so we are also trying from our level best that we can provide certain kind of Shopto Puran is always continuously in touch with various resource persons around the country, so to make creative learning and counseling available for these children, for these families, for the youth. We have been coming up with certain plans which are in the pipeline, but of course our major focus area is our area of work, where they can be given a kind of livelihood from which slowly and steadily the family can sustain, and the youth can have something for them. And once their caregivers are not there anymore, but they continue to have a financial backup for them, which is very essential. So we have been, since it's a very agriculture based place, and we have certain good products which is from uh, Sundarbans. So we have been trying to do it in this way that they have an outlet from where probably they can sell certain products uh, which are being manufactured over there, and they have a source of sustainability. So this is the way we can actually bring them to a position where they can come. Otherwise, we would say like the discussions will carry on, and the latest pandemic and this Amphan has been a huge devastating, and we are certainly giving our best to bring them back to the rhythm of life as far as possible. And even while going through an analysis of spatial patterns of disabled persons in West Bengal, we could actually see that it is South 24 Parganas and not 24 Parganas of West Bengal, Sundarbans, because of its habitat. That this is the area which has the largest spatial distribution of disabled persons. So this is the way that we are working on ground to bring about a change. And yes, of course, we are very positive that we will be able to do it, because starting from education to youth programs, we are trying to reach out to every. But yes, the pace will be little slow. It will probably take a little bit of time, but definitely we aim to reach in 3 years' time our timeline. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And we'll be looking forward like working with you in future. And we do think about how education makes the most important place in terms of education, as in education in a literal sense, education in a literal sense, plus education in activities, through activities, that is sports too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So through that, we can just open a panel of discussion. If anybody of in our audience wants to have a question answers from any questions related to this topic or any other issues they want to discuss with the guest, they can. Anybody? So there is this question in the chat box from Hemant Shah. Any of the panelists can just answer it. So it's like share the light on how is disabled people can come out of this pandemic, and what can we do to motivate the entire population with the current scenario. And this is especially for the youth, as COVID has done a huge loss. And that's true, because as a youngster, we all want to go out and we want to have people around us. We want to explore with our friends to know what else is around us. So any of the panelists?
Can I say
Shashima?
something? Yes.
Yes.
Look, when we talk about disability, I just have a few comments to make, and I'm not I'll try to answer that question. But aside from that, I think, look, we have to face the fact, and here I'm emphasizing on the word fact, the reality, that some people, for whatever reasons, are less able and some are more able than them. These are relative terms. They're absolutely relative terms, and therefore, we may describe them whichever wording we want to use. The fact still remains that yes, people who are lacking in some ability which would help them to maneuver their environment in a very easy way find it difficult, whereas the others, they can go about doing that same thing more easily. But mental disability is really a very different thing. For people with mental disability, and again I'm speaking from my experience, disability is not at all a factor for them. It is how we perceive them, which would make them feel good about themselves or make them feel not so good about themselves. So that is one thing I really want to draw attention to. And I was talking to Shagari yesterday only, and I thought, many a times I feel that during the pandemic, for instance, my son and his friends, they were all employed. My son works for Red Fox Hotel under the Lemon Tree group, and very happily employed. In fact, the few young men who have Down syndrome and who are working for them are called the happy people there, because they are really, so many things don't matter to them, and they are just so happy being by themselves and among the friends. It's something that we can't achieve. Truly speaking, we can't achieve that. We may be in a gathering of friends, and yet we may be very, very not so happy. So what I want to say is that during the pandemic, I was suggesting to Sagari that, we talk to our friends over, WhatsApp chat and Skype and whatnot. If we could have a forum where we could have some of these young people who are here today and listening to this webinar, reach out to youngsters who are, at home, and they are, perhaps they don't show that they are lonely, but they really are. They don't have much to do because they are used to doing a certain kind of work, and this is, again, I'm speaking about people with Down syndrome. They get very, their work schedule is very, very fixed, in the sense it's very difficult for them to change from one pace of doing things to another. It's not that easy. So if people could reach out to them and sort of make conversation, very simple conversations, and maybe those would grow into friendships over a long period of time. It is difficult to meet up personally, but these kinds of pen friends, like we said earlier on, they were called pen friends. We could have some, friendships growing across these digital platforms. And I think that would really be nice. It would really be nice. So I urge younger people, youngsters, to spare some time out, because they are also facing the difficulties of pandemics. But, they can voice their difficulty. They can complain. They can say that, oh, it's so boring, I'm not liking it. And, actually they create a problem for parents sometimes, I think, and for themselves. But with these youngsters, besides the other kind of helps that they require to navigate their way around the road and all, like somebody was saying, social distancing, kaise wo rakh sakte hain. But even the fact that somebody is talking to them, somebody wants to chat with them, that also is a very, very uplifting feeling. And I think that would be something that I would advise youngsters to think of, and, join hands and come forward, and let's start a forum where we can have these digital friends, even though you may never have met the person, but you can see the person on the thing. So that's one suggestion. Thank you.
Very
Thank
good
you so much.
idea. Very good
Yes,
idea.
and yesterday when we had
I
our
agree.
discussion, yeah,
I can
so
do
when
it.
everybody will do it. So yesterday me and ma'am was talking about, and then me and Pooja were just discussing that how we can just formulate it. So she suggested as a pen friend, to bring
Yeah.
back that time when people had pen
Yeah.
friends, and they didn't had any option to do. They just wanted to share their thoughts, and they doesn't know who the other person is. So we are just planning how to create a forum like this and how we can execute it, because now it's very much digital, so we cannot have a platform where the other person doesn't know that
Yes.
person. So that's a bit difficult part. So we are thinking about how to formulate it and just roll it out as soon as possible. And so there is another question: how can the change behavior interiority people? Rajendra Singh from Satna. So if you are there, can you just speak up your question? I think he's not there.
I think he wants to know how the change behavior will affect the disabled person in this pandemic, like
Okay.
social distancing and all mask. I think that's what he's trying to ask. But then,
I don't know. Maybe if you're gonna clarify,
yeah.
because that part we have already covered. That it depends on the disability the person is going through. That
Virendra,
won't.
आप बोलो कुछ. हाँ,
Vijendra
वो तो
Singh ji,
बोलो.
हाँ जी.
बोलो यहाँ कुछ आवाज लगाओ. I
Fine.
can't see him.
No, he has turned off his
I
camera.
can't see him. The
If
list.
no, he has turned out his camera. So before that, before ending up this session, I would like to share our next second edition, the glimpses of the second edition, with you all. Can anybody see that? Is it
Not yet.
No.
now?
No.
Nothing?
Yes, coming up.
So that was our second edition. Everybody got to see that?
Yeah, that
Because
was
I know-
wonderful. Wonderful. Very good.
Very nice. Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
so thank you so much, ma'am. And this second edition deals with 5 or 6 sections. So the first section is purely about the latest news around disability. The second section deals with a quick survey we did in with 200 people. So we got 200 responses. Out of that, we got to know some perception about disability, and that age group varies from 18 to 65. The people who responded to our survey. And the third part is about the testimonies and the people who are doing well in their lives in terms of whatever work they want to do. The fourth part is the rising star. So she's a girl who's doing her IIM MBA from Calcutta, IIM, and she has struggled a lot in her life, but still she's has flying colors out of it. And then comes all the articles which most of the writers have given it, and some of the writers are with us, like Akansha is there, Shweta is there, and many more who have given their articles. I can't see them right now, but thank you for everybody to give their write-ups to us. And lastly, we had an event for Raksha Bandhan where we asked people to give their digital messages the way Shashi ma'am just recommended us to do it. So we just started with a small event, and that too just to start to give a digital message to people who are single or who wants to have a sibling. So we got few entries out of it, and I think the winner is with us. Her name is Ocean. I don't know, Sheila. Yeah, Ocean is there. So she is the winner, and she gave us a small video. If it's possible, I can show you up in the main text. She gave a video with sign languages, and the video was super cool, and we loved it a lot. And she's the one who got the first prize. Yeah, Ocean is there. So Ocean, you can share your experience of making that video. Till then, I can find your video where it is.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I just did it just like that. So I've been involved with the group of people who are also disability activist. So I guess even the girl that you're talking about, I think her name is Preeti. So, like she's also a good friend if she's the one. And
Yes.
I've worked with the various organizations, National Platform for the Rights of the Disabled People. I was part of Atulya Kala. So Atulya Kala is an organization that works with deaf artists. And it was actually I was 21 years old when I realized that I'm a hearing person. It was for the first time that I got to know that there's a whole community of deaf people, and there's a whole new language, that's sign language. And that was my journey to it. And right now I am doing my master's in development at Azim Premji University. And I also tried to initiate it. Like I started the sign language classes at the university, but now because of the lockdown, that's not happening. So when I saw that event, and I'm also part of, I was part of Yes We Can. So when I saw that event, I just thought that I just use the platform to just spread something through the language, because I just love sign language. So yeah.
So I got your video. We can share that. That's so everybody will know. Okay, here it is. Everybody can see that. So that was Ocean. our
Great.
first winner. Yeah. So
Lovely.
Ocean,
There
if
was
you're
also-
interested, we can initiate this thing to have our own small course to learn a beginner's sign language, because no one of us, most of us don't know how to deal with it. Because I was having this problem when I was taking an interview from a person who was not able to speak, and he was not able to even hear. So he was just talking in terms of sign, and I was not able to understand it. So at that point, I thought, let's start with a beginner's course just to learn ABCD of it.
Which sign language is this? American or Indian?
This is Indian sign language. So I majorly know Indian. So yeah.
Do you know the oral school for deaf?
Which
In
school?
Calcutta.
I've heard about it. I've
Oral
never
school
been
of
there.
deaf. I
I've
used to
never
work
been.
there. That was my first training school.
Oh, okay.
I trained as a deaf teacher first.
Okay. Nice.
But
So
I've
it's
forgotten the language.
Sorry.
I've forgotten sign language.
Yeah, I think you need to talk to someone
Practice.
continuously. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like any language. If you don't
Yes.
talk in that, just forget it.
so you both can tie up and just start learning, and we're gonna have our classes with you all.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's available. The book is available. In Indian Sign Language, there's a dictionary.
Yeah, there's
There used
also
to be a dictionary and a course.
yeah, the book is also there. Also, they have a YouTube channel. Also, I also have a YouTube this thing, but it's not a proper sign language thing. I usually try to do it with deaf people. So it's like
Yeah.
they usually sign, and I just the videos then followed up by where I just explain that why is a sign that sign. So I can share the link and that can be forwarded if needed.
Really interesting. Very interesting.
So it's been more than an hour now, and
Yeah.
but it was a very fruitful discussion, and thank you for everyone. If anybody has the last comments or any questions, anyone?
I think Brijendra Singh has put his question. And if anybody cares to,
इस
you can put in
महामारी
the
के
chat back.
दौरान प्रभावित लोगों के व्यवहार के में सकारात्मक परिवर्तन कैसे लाएं? Like how we can have a behavioral change.
Prabhavit meaning what?
How we can change the behavior right now.
No,
The change.
change
Yeah.
the behavior amongst other people or the people who have been afflicted with COVID-19? What is Prabhavit?
Prabhavit means the person who got affected with these. The
Okay.
persons with disability.
We can't change the behavior. We can change only attitude.
Right.
I think so.
Yeah, attitude is a very, very important thing. And conviction is an extremely important thing.
Yeah.
If you are convinced something is right or something is wrong, you will do accordingly. If you're not convinced, if you just want to give lip service to something, that's a separate thing. And I think most of us, we are not yet there in terms of conviction. And that conviction that they are, whether you call them specially abled or you call them with some, unique powers or whatever, that doesn't matter. That comes when you are associated, you have some kind of a relation or some kind of an association with a person who is supposedly less able than you are. So it's so important to be able to make friends with them, to win their confidence, and to show them that they are equal, that they are just like anybody else. That is extremely important. The moment we start adopting this attitude, there will be no need to have special ways to go about doing this. It is like treating them equally, and trying to just be patient and give them some more time, because some people take time to say, some people take time to hear, some people take time to see, but they see eventually. So even the sightless see, right? They know they can express their views, they understand, and so on. So I think that is what is required to create public awareness. And I think Sambalita, this forum taking up these issues is one forum which is helping in creating awareness amongst the youth, and the youth will make a difference. So I'm hopeful.
We too are aspiring for it. And thanks a lot for everybody. And first of all, I would like to thank all my team members. First of all my team members are Pooja, Shalini, Vandana, Ajay, and Divyanshu, Tanvi, and Sneha. All of them together made this possible to have this webinar plus our newsletter. And Tanvi was the one who interviewed that Preeti Singh. So if Tanvi is there, you can share your views if you want. Otherwise, we are all very blessed to have such a great team who are working together. And thank you all the guest speakers who gave their precious time and your contribution to make this possible. As youngster, we need guidance, first of all, because we don't know such things in depth. So we need people who are into it, and we need people who will guide us in which direction we need to proceed. Otherwise, everybody, all the participants, all the members, everybody, thanks a lot. And for the newsletter, we are starting up the subscription now to access all the content we have and to have our own stable thing. So we are launching our website too, where people are open to give their content in terms of all the voices of unheard. It's not just disability, but if they want to talk about any other minority communities, they can talk about, and they can have a place to give their content. So we are open to that. Thanks a lot for everyone. Any comments at the end from my team?
Yes. Hi, Sagri.
Yeah, Tanvi.
Good afternoon to all the esteemed speakers. Thank you so much for joining in. It was a wonderful session and very insightful too. Well, I would say that it was a great opportunity, to interview Preeti Singh, because it was my first step. It was for the very first time that I took such an interview. So I feel that, till date I was so unaware. Maybe I would say that, I was little bit ignorant also, but after doing this interview, I got to know about a lot of things, and that has changed my perspective too. So I guess we need to have more these sort of discussions, and interaction with people from people with disability, so that we get to know their issues in depth, and that would help us and them also, to I mean, will help us, in a way, to understand them more. So thank you so much. It was wonderful.
Thank you so much, Tanvi. And if I missed any name, I'm really sorry because I am bad at remembering names. And if anybody has any other comments, Pooja, Shalini, Vandana, anybody? No? So it's time we can close it up. Thank you so much for everyone. And thank you, Satyarupa ma'am. We'll be
Yeah,
looking forward
a
to
big
work with
thanks
you.
to all of you. Yes, please. We'll be more than loving it. Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you, Shashi ma'am, to give your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was very nice.
And all the participants, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Take
Sairi. Thank you
care.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care. Stay
You
safe.
too.
Yeah, same to all of you. Please.